All right, welcome back. Today is quarter three, week three, day two. I was just kidding. Haha. Today we are going to work on our chest and building it. So the idea here is to keep it simple, and this is an image that I got off the internet that sort of shows you good topology for the chest itself. One thing that we're going to really focus on today is trying to make sure that we keep it simple and use edges to accentuate anatomical lines. Now, when I say that, I mean right through here, of course. In the shoulder, we are going to extrude up through the waist, from the waist all the way up into the pectoral area, and then we're going to keep extruding up, but we are going to extrude up and then start pulling it in so that we have this extra section out here that we can then pull out. And you can see as we do that, we're going to round out the shoulder here, and we are going to create the neck. Eventually we will stop right through here and leave this section so that we can export or attach our arms to it. Okay. One thing you want to look at is if you have different shape sizes, one of the things you want to look for in your geometrical lines is how your edges are flowing. All right. If you've got if there's more of a roundness to the belly or the breasts or stuff like that, you got to make sure that you're focusing on how your geometry flows along those portions. Okay. Muscles, things like that. Anything that needs to move is going to need more geometry, and that's basically where we get into the waist section. Just above the belt and below the rib cage, you're going to need enough geometry so that you can bend and deform properly, and that's what I was talking about, rib cage versus oblique muscles. When it comes to breasts, obviously I don't have any, but you might, so you will have to build that out. The easiest way to differentiate my model from yours is you will take this middle section and do an inset, and I'll sort of show you as we go how to implement that. But you're going to inset and make sure you snap your vertices back to center on the middle here. So you'll inset these vertices, and then that will give you the geometry that you want. Okay, and we'll talk more about that too. And then tomorrow we'll go on to create the arms and attach them. But for now, this is where we're going to start. We're going to start the waist. Now the first thing we need to do is go to the left view and look at where we ended. So we ended just below the belt. So one of the first things we're going to do is extrude up across the belt and then into the waistline. So I'm going to hit M for material, grab my modeling, whoops, wrong thing, grab my modeling material and add it to my geometry that I've created so far. And I'm going to go back in, and if you haven't done so already, the way we're going to work out our waist is I like building the waist at least up to the shoulder area, not the arms or neck so much. Is I really like to focus on building it together. I don't like to do just one side or the other because it's easy to sort of rescale things and get them the right shape this way. Before we're done today, we will delete the right side of the model and then work on the left so that we can sort of work from there. But for now, let's go ahead and work on this section. So in the left view, I'm going to extrude up. All right, so that extrudes up like that. I'm going to try and match the belt line there. So I'm just going to extrude through the belt, and then I'm going to click OK and resize in a little bit and hit W and sort of rescale that in there. Once again, I'm trying to follow that line. So I'll hit extrude again, and this will be the belly itself. Now you can see, whoops, I need to click OK here, and then I'll rotate over like that and then go through there. So from here, I'll move this section out into here, and then so notice that I'm trying to get this line and this edge back through, and that's what we're going to need to do. Set that up through there. All right. Now, before I go on, I'm actually going to adjust and create the belt. Okay, so I'm going to hold this button and hold shift and create that loop, or select that loop. And from here I can extrude the belt out. Now the belt itself is actually not going to take up a whole lot of space. That's the belt buckle. But I'm still going to extrude along this entire section along its local normal by maybe 0.5. Let's see, maybe 0.75. There, it's a little more noticeable. Click OK, and that's cool because that's basically all I need to do. I'm not going to worry about belt loops or any other stuff. If I really want to make sure it's lining up better, I can sort of modify it through here so it flows a little more accurately. But you know, if you have a belt, great. If not, it doesn't really matter. Don't get all bent out of shape on it. All right, cool. So now that I've sort of realigned myself here, I've got my torso and I'm ready to extend up. All right, cool. So from here, remember with our geometry we were talking about. Oops. All right, so we've basically created this belt line. Now we've got to come up into the chest. All right. So from here, I'm going to extrude again. I'm going to do it from the front because that's where most of the change is going to happen from. And I'm going to notice it's extruding out oddly because I need to go back into group and then hit left and then click OK. Now you'll notice it's extruding off on a sort of a weird angle because we had rotated it. And that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to about here and then hit R and pull it in just a little bit. Then from the front, I'm going to extrude it out along X only a little bit and move it up to there. Now, realistically, most of the bending that this character will ever do is right through here. So if I wanted to, I could sort of come here, oops, wrong button, left, and I could pull this in a little bit like that. That's probably pretty good. I could do some more extruding. Front, once again, come out a little bit. This, if you get a loop, hit number 2, get my loop. If you get a loop that's not quite right, make sure you just grab the entire loop. You don't want to loop it out too much. There. Cool. Great. Now the next section. Grab just the top, look at it from the left, from the front. Now I want to get to the bottom of the pecs. At this point also, it's not a terrible idea. We can right click, convert to vertex, to start thinking about the rib cage itself. So if I hold Alt, I kind of like where these inner vertices are. So I'm going to move these down here. And then I'm going to move these center ones up a bit so we start getting what will become our rib cage. Yeah, let's do a little more here. And then maybe even the outside a little more. And, oops, too much. Don't get too caught up on this because there's still a lot to be done. The next line is going to be our arch. This is the basic of this section. This is where we're going to start pulling in and then extruding up through the shoulders. So let's do that. So let's go back to polygon. We have that. I'm going to extrude again. Go from the left view and click OK. I'm going to move it so it's roughly right under where the pecs would be. I'm going to flatten that all out. Look at it from the front view. Expand it a little bit and move it up here. We're obviously just doing the best we can here. Now, pretty soon we're going to stop worrying about, oops, I didn't get the right. Pretty soon we're going to stop worrying about the right side. I'm just deselecting the inner ones so we get a better idea of where this is. Once again, let's see. I'm trying to keep it symmetrical for now, even though it's not crucial. There. Same thing with this. Cool. All right, good. It's a good start. From the front, we'll do some more extruding. Extrude up. And okay, left view. Did I get it all? I think I did. Yeah, I did. Left. If this oddness, the fact that it's sort of extruding at a weird angle bothers you, I don't blame you. It is a little weird. From the front. Now, what I'm going to do is start bringing this in. Now, what this is going to do is this is going to give us the nature of our musculature. Oh, see the way that squeezed together? That let me know that I was in squash and stretch. I do not want to do that. All right, that's good enough. I'm going to grab all of these. I'll bring them up. I'll bring them in. Oops. Z, left. I hit. All right, cool. So here's where we're going to start, obviously, changing the way our geometry is functioning. Grab some of this, flatten these out, and bring it back more. Obviously, part of that is my shirt. This is just sort of expanding out further than my torso actually is. Also, be careful you don't pull things too far out. We'll talk about the muscles in the back and how they work later, but for now, we're just going to leave it. From the front, got this section. I'm going to start bringing this in a little more, this in a little more. Okay, cool. These actually can go out a bit more. Like that. Like that. And I want to bring these down a little bit. Cool. Now, later on, we're going to actually extrude out from this area to make our deltoids. Let's go ahead and grab all of these. I'm going to expand them out some, like that. All right, good. Go back to our polygon. Actually, the fact that when you extrude, it's coming out like that. That's annoying. So I'm going to go ahead and fix it by going to deselect my face, go to the hammer, reset transforms down here, reset selected. And now I can collapse all. Yes. And then I can continue where I was from the front. All right. So now when I extrude, it should extrude. It's going the wrong direction. Because if it's going the wrong direction, it's going down instead of up. That means your whole object is probably flipped. And you can tell it's flipped. My faces are flipped because when I select them, they're like a dull red. And they should be more of a bright pink. All right? So I'm going to flip that back, select the whole thing, flip it, and then double check. All right, great. At this point, I am going to start to rotate my geometry a bit, like that. I can also scale it out a bit. Also, this can move back some. Grab just these two and move them forward. All that back some. Okay. Cool. Front. Grab this section and extrude it up again. All right. Rotate it a little bit. I hate it when I miss that tool. All right, front. I'm going to hit number 2, grab this loop, expand it out since I modified it a bit. Grab this loop. It won't let me. I can do it this way instead. All right. Got that and extrude. Actually, I'm going to move some of these around a little bit. This is going to be the bottom of our arm. When we finally, well, eventually when we extrude it out, for now. So we'll leave that there. And then this final section we're going to extrude one more time. And this is going to take us roughly to where our neck is, front. It's going to be the top of our shoulders. We're going to have one more. Grab these, move them out. Front. Alright, and we're going to inset this, and this is actually where our neck's going to be. And I'm going to use geometry to relax that, and then bring it in to roughly the neck, and then hit W, bring it up some. Alright, cool. Now, the next section is right here from the front. Hit the number 4, I'm going to grab these, not that, and that's our 6 faces. And this is going to be what we're going to extrude out for our deltoid, your shoulder muscle. I'm going to do this a couple times, so I don't need it to be perfect right away, although I don't want to get too far off of the shape that I want. Got to sort of realize where I want my shoulder line to sort of sit and how it's going to function. Bring those in. Left. Take all of this and I'm going to bring them all in from the front. Oops, I missed 2. Alright, cool. Alright, cool. Alright. For now I'm just going to line them up so I can sort of see where they're going to be. That one down there. That's the front and back. That's sort of where that's going to be. So what we want is we want our shoulder to come out, or our arm to come out of this bottom section. So we are going to use that in a way that will sort of show us how it's going to come out. So you should be able, and I can right click on this, go to Object Properties, and go to Backface Cull, which is right over there. Click OK. I'm going to close this. What I'm doing is I'm sort of making sure that this line here is my pectoral muscle. This section here can be brought out. Section here, this probably needs to come out too. There. All this will come out as well. But for now, we want this line to sort of transfer all the way up. Alright, just like it did with this model here. See, it comes up. So what we've done is we've extruded once through there, so we need to continue doing that. So once we're going to do it again. Extrude, this time much less. Oops, there we go. We're going to have to come in and clean a lot of this up later. But for now, I'm not too worried about it. Front. This is where we can start bringing these edges together. Ugh. This is where they're going to start shrinking. I know I've got too many there. Okay. Did not want that one. Front object properties, turn back face call off so we can see a little better. And that's going to be there. I'm rotating this so that I can get a better view of the object and so that the curvature makes more sense. Now, at some point, we are going to need to start bringing these bringing these together, because we're not going to need this many edges. As a matter of fact, we could probably just start doing that now from the front. Bring those out. And that's probably going to be enough. Yeah, now we can just start shaping this. So from the top, sort of see it's almost at an angle. This is going to be our actual arm cavity. I don't really care about this center vert too much. There we go. Front. Front, F3, right click object properties, backface call, click OK. I forgot to last time. F3. Alright, get this out of the way. Once again, I'm just basically looking for these verts. That's good. Back to vertex. Come through here. Start shaping this along the top. These back ones, any of them that are like drastically out of position, we start moving them back in. Those are too close. Alright. These could probably move in. That's going to be the top of the delt. Alright. Now I should have all quads, I think. If anything looks a little rough, especially in the center line, you can see how this geometry is going on the back and where it sort of connects to. If what I try and do, especially like once it's all faded like this, I'm going to hit M for material, throw something else on it, and then you can get a much better idea of how the geometry looks on its own. And that also sort of gives you a heads up on any sort of problems like this one that's sticking in too far. You start getting an idea of how much it needs to move out, because this should be, once again, more of a smooth transition like that. Now, if you don't like, and I don't, if you feel like this is probably too, I don't know, I don't like the way that it was looking, because it was a really large gap from one position to another. You can start bringing some of these in and tightening them up. You'll need a decent amount of geometry to actually bend this arm later. And if you do that, you can always add another loop that sort of goes through here on these edges. And then connect it so that this is split. Or, if you want, and you don't want to do that because you have quads, so it's okay to stick with the quads. Yeah, I think I'm going to add another loop, because that's a quad. But I can add another loop through there. I can just hit number 2, select that, loop, insert loop, and it inserts it perfectly all the way around. I think that's probably the better option. Alright, I think this is getting there. Alright, cool. So that's roughly what we were looking to do today. Just build out the shoulder. The clavicle will actually come in here-ish, so you can build this up and in some. A lot straighter, and this can actually be a little bit higher than you would think, since the clavicle bone would come in here and stick out a little bit there. And if you do that, then you can grab these. I don't like messing with this one with the Geometry Relax tool, but you can do that, and then you can sort of pull them back out, and maybe even lift them up a little bit, and then move that one back. These two. There. Alright, so from the front, once again, I was only working on that side, so before I finish, I'm going to grab all of these vertices on this side and make sure I'm careful about the crotch, because I always miss some. I don't care if that disappears. Delete that, and we're good to go. A few more tweaks here and there. Just sort of even out the topology. There. Now when it comes to how the back should be working, you've got more options back here. You can work your trapezius muscle. It's going to come through there. And it's larger. Bring that down. Alright, that looks pretty good. A little bit. If you're uncomfortable with how big this particular piece of geometry is, especially that face there, that is understandable. I am also not a huge fan, but I think it'll be okay. If we were really concerned about it, we could do some more adjustments when it comes to this area here. Most of the bending we're going to have will be through here. Let's be realistic. That's probably more accurate. Okay. Okay, cool. So there we go. In the front, we do want to sort of keep the idea of like the belly would start here and it would come out a little bit there. Right. There we go. All right. Front. Oops. Move that out a little bit. There. Cool. And if we wanted to add another loop here in the center through here, that wouldn't be a terrible idea. If you want to, go for it. If not, I don't think it's absolutely required. So it's up to you. From the left, how are we looking? Pretty okay. There. Bring that out a little bit. Notice I'm really careful not to move anything off that center line. But that's basically it for the chest. So from tomorrow or the next day that you get to this, we are going to work on finishing up this portion by working on the arm and attaching the arm here to this section. So I will see you then. Make sure you save your work, like I'm going to do right now. So pull that out. Yeah, it looks good enough. Okay, cool. Good. Front. You could work your smoothing groups too. Actually, it's not a bad idea because otherwise you'll probably forget. Make sure you give that its own smoothing groups under properties. Smooth selected. I'm going to grab those and hit control, hold shift and click the other one. I can grab those rings. Smooth. That'll be fine. From the front. All of this is going to be one smoothing group. So properties, smooth, and there we go. We're actually going to take this and delete it because we're going to need that for deleted for tomorrow. Render it. It's not going to look that great, but you get the idea. Render it and save your work. I'm going to save this as today is week 3 or quarter 3 week 3 day 2 end. So I'm going to call it. Sure, I'll just overwrite my old one. Great, so that's your chest if you need to rebuild it. I hope that was easy to follow along. We are not worrying about the collar of the shirt yet. We're going to do that later. The next thing we're going to do is attach the arms. And then we'll come back, do the hands, and add the collar. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.